I didn't know what it was to spend money. I just knew what it was to make money. Because she worked and she saved. That's all she did. She worked and saved to help her other children. And that was a tremendous foundation for me in my life. Tremendous. Because even up to today, I'm financially I'm comfortable, but I can't, it's not in me to waste money. I don't throw away money. I always figure that any money that I have that's available, I invest it.
Nation builders come in different forms. Some nation builders are elected by people who use tax revenues to advance the physical development of a country and to create jobs. Others sacrifice their own comforts, their leisure, their time, including time with their families to build something greater than themselves, to advance and explore the boundaries of the possible. Those nation builders are often unsung heroes, sometimes vilified and abused for their contributions born out of an immense personal commitment and sacrifice. Their contributions are varied and can be found in the buildings that dot the landscape. They are found in the homes built by persons they employ. They are found in the transfer of value and opportunities created for those who supply them. Henry Ford, himself one of history's great industrialist nation builders, captured this truth when he said, "The highest use of capital is not to make more money, but to make money do more for the betterment of life." It is a reminder that business at its best is an instrument for national development and social progress. Our next guest is known to us as a prodigious businessman, but few would deny his role as a nation builder. A businessman whose interests span retail, shipping, travel, tourism, and property development. I am pleased to welcome Sir Michael Chastanet to the 1461 podcast. Welcome to the 1461 podcast.
The 1461 podcast is brought to you by Bryson Company Limited in partnership with IBS, Harbor Club, Tropical Solar, and 1461 Enterprise, distributors of the world's best coffee.
Welcome to the 1461 podcast. Today is a rather special day for us. We have an iconic figure, a builder, a developer, a father, someone who has contributed immensely to the development of Saint Lucia. We're honored to have Sir Michael Chastanet as our guest on the 1461 podcast. Welcome, Sir Michael.
My pleasure.
You have a rather distinguished history. You've contributed immensely over the years. But that journey started some time ago.
True.
Started before the Second World War, maybe 4 years before the outbreak of violence and war in Europe. I think my memory serves me, if it does serve me correctly, it was the 1st of December 1935
Correct.
in Castries.
Mm-hmm.
Share with us a little bit about the early part of your life, your upbringing, your parents, your siblings. What was life like in Castries?
Interesting. We were born on 29 Brazil Street in Castries, adjacent to Columbus Square. And we had a very simple, normal life, like all Saint Lucians. There were 5 boys and 5 girls. I was number 9. And it reached a stage where the difference between my eldest brother and myself was so wide that he was almost like my father, because my father had got old and he took charge. And I distinctly remember when I was maybe 9 years of age, him taking me to St. Mary's College, which was just a stone's throw away. I could walk from my home through that lane by the church to the college. And he patted me, he wished me well, and he left the next day because he went to study. And in those days, because of finances, they were not able to travel back and forth. And I never saw him again till he was in his late 20s after he qualified. I never even came back home. Life in Saint Lucia was wonderful at that time, totally uncomplicated. As I said, we lived next to Columbus Square, and that's where everybody would hang out. My school friends would meet on the benches around the square, and we would relax and old talk. And at 7:30, all of us had to go to our homes then. There was a lot of discipline in those days. We came back home. And gradually, I started to understand life. My mother, after raising 10 children, things were very tight with her. And my father was retired by then because I was number 9. And she decided to open a bakery. She opened a small bakery, which was wonderful because I was able to see how business operated from the time I was a young guy, how she operated. Things were tight. And it was good because it made me understand the value of money. And that's where it all came from. It was a very interesting, Steve, because many things happened. You have many friends at school. As time went on, my mother was fortunate and she was able to get a contract from the army to produce, I think, about 600 or 700 pounds of bread a day. So she made all those pans to make the pan loaves. And at least twice a week, I'd bring some of my guys over and we'd clean the pans. We would put the lard in it so that the bread, and we'd give them a couple loaves of bread and everybody was happy. So it was really wonderful, 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 yeah. And no regrets at all, yeah.
Let me ask a question.
Sure.
You speak about you being the 9th child. Did that placing in the family, for lack of a better term, hierarchy, at least in age, did that inform your personality, who you are today? Did you have to fight a little more? Did you have to... What did that mean for you being the 9th?
Good question. I was very close to one brother who was only a year and a half older than I am. So we were quite close. We went to school together. So between the two of us, as though it was a different family. He was my brother, he was my age. The others were so much older that they were on a different wavelength because they were working and all that kind of thing. But that question you just posed me is quite interesting. What I remembered every evening, Steve, imagine that they would sit down and 12 people for dinner.
Wow.
My mother, my father, and my brothers and sisters. Can you imagine
12 mouths to feed.
Yeah, to feed. and my mother was very cautious with money. And I distinctly remember we ate chicken once a week on a Sunday. And the one chicken had to serve all of us.
Wow.
Myself and my brother, we got the toes. But you know something, when I think of it, at the time maybe it wasn't that great, but when I look back, it was great. Yeah.
It's a wonderful time.
Yeah. So it was a family that we had, we shared a lot, we learned a lot from each other. Because the good thing for me, I saw the young David, who was my brother, and the older ones So I learned from him and I learned from the elder ones, you know. I saw how they conducted themselves. I continuously heard my mother saying, you've got to work for yourself. Don't go and work for people. Go and work for yourself. Educate yourself. And she struggled and made sure her children got a good education. Okay?
So they could take care of themselves.
And, you know, this conversation resonated because I realized my parents were getting older. I was virtually the last. My sister was not that well. She was kind of sickly. She was just after me. And nobody asked me to do that, but I just realized if there's anybody who have to help those people, it's only fair. When I saw my father's age, I decided to help him. And that's what drove me into business.
So of all the members of the family, of all of your siblings,
Yes.
you were the one who took on the mantle to take on the legacy.
That is right.
I understand, I think you were about 17 at the time when you started, or thereabouts?
Yeah. And
what was your first venture then? Were you helping with the bakery, or how did you help the family at the time?
okay, good question. When my mother started the bakery and she made a few dollars, her father had a ferry which actually was sunken in Prince Alfred Basin, below the water, that sank. And she went and she negotiated with her father to sell it to my father. And they refloated this boat and they fixed it up. And they were carrying passengers and cargo from Castries to Soufrière and those places. And actually, that's what attracted me more than the bakery. Yeah. The bakery was good business, but I don't know, for some reason, they started that. And I listened to my father. I used to go down by the boat and see the boat loading in Prince Alfred Basin, going down to the coast and come back. And then there were 3 crew members on that boat. I guess I'm a people's person. And somehow I grew to like those 3 guys. And imagine that they're all dead. And I can remember clearly their names, the day I met them and everything. They were such nice guys, you know. And they would welcome me when I went to the boat. They assisted me. And then as I grew a bit more, I would go on the boat. My father said, "Well, go down and collect the money for me on this boat." I would go down. We would leave here at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The boat would go from here to Soufrière, from Soufrière to Choiseul, from Choiseul to Labrie to Vieux Fort.
So your father too was a seafarer?
My father, no. My father doesn't go to sea at all. His words were, "I praise the sea, but remain at home." My father was more like a book guy, you know. Yeah.
Okay.
And he didn't go on the boats. And, you know, I learned so much from all of that, Steve.
What would you say, of course, where you are,
Yeah.
your accomplishments,
Yes.
the family that you've raised who have gone on to achieve many great accomplishments.
Yes.
Your name is etched in the history of this country for more reasons than one.
Yes.
But of course, when you look back and you consider your upbringing, maybe you could share the 1 or 2 major lessons that you learned from your parents. Of course, the value of money being one. What is the other lesson that you carry with you all these years later?
Steve, very good question. My mother taught me the value of money, right? We never spent any big money. We lived very quietly in a very humble fashion, okay? And I didn't know what it was to spend money. I just knew what it was to make money. Because she worked and she saved. That's all she did. She worked and saved to help her other children. And that was a tremendous foundation for me in my life. Tremendous. Because even up to today, I'm financially, I'm comfortable, but I can't, it's not in me to waste money. I don't throw away money. I always figure that any money that I have that's available, I invest it. I do things. From early, I would buy a property and leave it there, rent it or something on my own, you know. And that has been my life. So it has been very difficult. In fact, my children argue with me and say, look, you're 90, what do you do? Like, I still go to my office. Yeah.
How many times a week do you go to your office?
Every day.
Wow.
I go to the office every day from about 9:30 till about 3:30, and I come back home. Yeah, because my staff have been with me for about 25, 30 years. I like my staff. I can talk to them. They've been very good to me. I've been good to them. And, it keeps me alive. Yeah. I'm able to still pass on some of my knowledge to them to run the business, to keep it at a certain level. And it's been, from that, I consider myself really blessed to be where I am today. I'm not talking about being rich or anything like that. Just rich in meeting people and discussing. And I'm a very, ordinary person. I have no airs and graces. I meet everybody, and I continue to enjoy my life.
Thank you so much, Sir Michael. After the break, we will dig a little deeper into your business ventures, your early life as a businessman, and we'll, of course, discuss your current role with respect to business in Saint Lucia. See you after the break.
Coming up after the break, more with our guest.
As a building contractor, the success of my projects depends on the quality of materials and the reliability of my suppliers. Bryson Company has consistently provided high-grade roofing and steel products that meet the standards required for both residential and commercial work. The customer service is excellent. Orders are processed efficiently and delivery is always timely. I appreciate their professionalism and commitment to quality, which makes them a trusted partner in my business.
To experience the benefits of a tropical solar water heating system, call 453-1868 in Castries or 454-6344 in Vieux-Fort.
Welcome back. So, Michael, I'll mention a few names, and maybe you could tell us about those names. Do you remember one Michael David, Grenville Lass, Christine C? Tell me what those names mean to you.
Okay. First of all, I got indoctrinated to the shipping business from a little one they called the Canaries, which was the first boat. And having ran it and learned something, I decided with my brother David to extend the business. So we went, and two of us together started, and we built with Michael David, right where the government offices in Saint Lucia. That's where it was built, the Michael David. And the plan was that two of us would run it. When the boat was finished, he said to me, look, Michael, I want to be honest with you. That's not my calling in life. I want to be a doctor. So I said, okay, no problem. You go ahead. I will help you. And I stayed, and I took over the Michael David myself.
Okay.
And I went to sea for 6 months.
How old were you at the time?
I was about maybe 19 at the time.
Wow.
Yeah. I went to sea and learned the business for 6 months. I got seasick like hell, but anyway, I learned the business. That was my indoctrination running between the islands. It was so successful. After 2 years, I built the Christine C. Yeah. And then it was so successful. I had so much business. I took over. I bought the Grenville Lass from a guy in Grenada, at West where Grenville. It was built in Grenada, Grenville Lass. And then there was another one called the Native Knowledge from a guy who built it in Grenada and couldn't run it, and I took it over. And I ran those vessels for a few years. And then, when I saw how hard I had to work, because they were not big boats, 80 tons, 90 tons. And I realized one day that in Europe, you can get ships at a fairly good price based on the fact that the European government decided to encourage the ship owners to sell their ships when they were 15 years of age to keep the shipyards going. So I went up to Holland to look, and I could not believe my eyes. I met a broker, and when the guy showed me the number of ships and the prices, I put the mathematics together and said, it takes me a year and a half to build a ship down here. And you're getting a ship, okay, it's fine, I'm not trying to run them down, but you cannot compare a ship in Europe versus what you can build here in Saint Lucia. We're not equipped to do that. And I bought the Albatross, which was 400 tons.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And how did you get the Albatross from Holland
From Holland, yeah.
to
Then
Saint Lucia?
I brought up the first engineer I met on the Canaries. I took him up with me with 3 guys, and I took a captain up there, and they brought the ship out.
Was that your first transatlantic voyage?
I was not on board.
Oh, you did?
No, I wasn't on board because I had many things to do. When you buy a ship, first of all, you have to inspect it. Then you have to insure it. And my insurance was in England, so ship was in Holland. I had to be moving, go and have it insured, and the guys brought the ship out.
And that was the Albatross.
The Albatross. Imagine that. The same day the Albatross arrived in Saint Lucia, I got a call from Trinidad and said, we understand you have a 400-ton ship. We need it right away.
Wow.
Yeah. And I got a contract for 2 years to carry 400 tons of cement a week from Trinidad to Barbados.
Wow.
And in 2 years, the ship paid for itself.
Now, I understand that the biggest ship that you owned
Yes.
was about 4,000 tons?
7,000.
7,000. And what?
Yeah.
Tell us about that ship.
Yeah, okay. All right, just to fill you in, before we get there, I sent you a picture of the Netta last night.
Yes.
Yeah, that was my second ship after the Albatross, and then the Tapanahoni, and then because the business was so promising, I moved to Puerto Rico. Yeah, and I spent 5 years there, and got better known because I was on the U.S. mainland, and different brokers heard of me in New York and asked me to come over and have a chat with them. I went to New York, and they said to me, look, you have so much business with your ships. We are just brokers. If you would give us the business to freight your ships, we give you an office for free in New York.
Oh, wow.
So they had a big office on 52 Broadway. So I went to, after 5 years in Puerto Rico, I moved to New York. And that's when the bigger ships came in. Because when I went to New York, I started to go worldwide. And I bought, the first ship I bought, the larger ship, most of the ships were around 1,500, 2,000 tons. I first bought a boat called the Pankey in Philadelphia. She was 5,000 tons. And then a year and a half later, I bought the Hankey in Montreal, which was 7,000 tons. And those ships were going worldwide on them.
I see you had voyages to South America,
Yeah.
some to Africa.
What we would do, we would start off in New Orleans. We would take 7,000 tons of grain. One ship used to go from New Orleans to Nigeria and come back down. From Nigeria, we would go to Brazil from Nigeria, load of lumber, come back to the States, take grain again and go down. Then I had another ship leaving New Orleans with grain, going to Venezuela, and from Venezuela we would go 600 miles up the Amazon, take the lumber also, and bring to Cape Town, South Africa.
Oh, wow.
And then when we got to Cape Town, in those days they were short of ships. We actually went to the Indian Ocean, to Durban, and we would take food and bring to Africa. I spent 3 months in Africa, moving stuff from Durban to other parts of Africa. And
You were about how old at that time? In your 30s?
I was just 38, 40 years age.
And someone from a tiny island
Yes,
without any great
know.
heritage
yes.
or specific knowledge.
It was amazing, yeah.
How does a young Saint Lucian man find himself in Puerto Rico, then in New York, and having the opportunity to supply lumber, grain in far
Places.
swept parts of the world at a time where few Saint Lucians
Yeah.
had even traveled to?
It's very, you know, again, that's a great question. Many a time I would sit in New York and I would pinch myself and I said, did I ever think, born on 29 Brazil Street and having a little boat 40 feet long, I would be sitting in New York today with all those people moving cargoes all over the world. It was incredible. You know, and I suppose I was so busy, Steve, that everything just seemed to have got together. I distinctly remember when I used to go to Belém in Brazil, before going up the Amazon River, I was asked to bring a cargo to a place called Santos in Brazil. And when I was in Santos, I normally went there when the ships went there. I always visited the agents myself to meet them. So when I talk to them on the phone, I know what they're doing. And when he said to me, I can give you so many trips to Cape Town, you know, I said to myself, what an experience. I've never even been to Cape Town in my life, you know, and to go there. And when you get to Cape Town, more importantly, places like Durban, I just saw it in a geography book. You know, I'd never imagined I would ever go to those places. But, you know, your question is valid, that I consider myself blessed to have had the opportunity to get there and to be successful in those areas, because the shipping business
It's
is
difficult.
not an easy business.
So you've had success, you enjoyed success, you enjoyed growth. But along the way in that business, I'm sure you've had some hair-raising or scary moments. Maybe you had some failures.
Oh,
Did you have any moments where you were concerned, worried, any moments of trepidation, either for the business itself or during a journey that you felt uncomfortable?
Yeah.
And did you have any failures in that part of your business?
Okay. I can give you three incidents. The first incident, I had a ship in Trinidad on the dry dock, and they had done some work, and I think something had gone wrong there. That ship left Trinidad to go and pick up a cargo in Puerto Rico. And I was in Puerto Rico waiting for the ship, and I got a call from the Coast Guard. He said, your ship is on fire.
Oh, wow.
Off St. Croix. Fire, yeah. The ship got burnt, caught a fire and got burnt. That was quite an experience.
Anyone was injured?
Sorry?
Any injuries?
No.
Thank God.
Imagine that they did not even have time to do anything. The crew jumped in the sea and got a raft. Yeah.
Good.
Well, a fire on a ship goes very, very quickly. Yeah. That was one incident. And one of my nicest ships in my late day, we took a cargo of railroad ties in the Dominican Republic for Santo Domingo, from Mobile, Alabama, or New Orleans, one of those places. And the ship had just been on dry dock in the States, was in perfect condition. And the captain called and said, we have a problem. He called me and said to me that there was a leak somewhere in the ship, okay? So I said, well, give me your location. I said, well, go into Tampa, bring the ship there, and check it out. So I'm expecting the ship to go to Tampa. At 2 o'clock in the morning, right in this room here, I had a single sideband radio, and I heard a call. I was sleeping. And it says, a call, imagine that, from the UK. They said, "You're the owner of a ship called the Pankey?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "She just sank."
Oh no.
I said, "Sank?" Yeah. I said, so he said, "We have given, the captain has given us the latitude and longitude." So I took that and I called the Coast Guard right away in the States, gave them the latitude. And the Americans are good. And they sent an aircraft out with a beeper, and they dropped it in the latitude and longitude I told them. It was 2, 3 in the morning. And at 6 o'clock in the morning, they went out and they got all the guys.
Oh, very good.
Everybody got saved. Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
You know what really happened? The ship apparently was loading railroad ties, and had a forklift in the hatch because it's a big ship. And a forklift has these prongs. Apparently, it must have cracked when they were putting it against the thing, and somebody didn't pick it up.
So it took on water and it sunk.
Yeah. Because normally, a ship shouldn't sink because we have what you call ballast tanks. If you have a hole below, we can hold 600-700 tons of water. Yeah. But yeah, you had that, and then the other scare was in 1974, when the price of oil went up 10 times the value.
Wow.
And the freight didn't go up then. So we really had to try to manage ourselves.
So you had to honor your contracts. Maybe if you had contracts,
well,
which were...
sometimes people don't. When people with money, they don't want to know that. They just want their freight moved. But you're able to wait for a couple of months until the freight, picked up itself up. And these three
difficult
scary
times.
ones, yeah.
Now, you sometime after those experiences, you moved back on shore, as it were. And since then, you have been in hotels, tourism, you're in retail, you were in property development. You've accomplished a lot. When did you decide, I've had enough of being out on the water, away from Saint Lucia, that now is the time to return and...
Yeah. When I was about 55 years of age, I was in New York, and I told my brokers that I think I won't get. And they said, "You crazy." He says, you've built up a business here. You've known. I said, "Yeah, but everything is for a time." And I just sold out the ships, and I came back to Saint Lucia. And, I used to come and go all the time, and I saw certain parts of Saint Lucia were not developed. Imagine, Steve, in 1980, Saint Lucia did not have a shopping mall and did not have a supermarket. Yeah. And, when I saw these things in New York, Miami, everywhere, how easy these things operated, yeah. I came back here, and then I bought this home, and across the road, Mikey, the name Mikey Pilgrim?
Of course.
Mikey Pilgrim, they own a place called Super Center, and they had some difficulties.
That's in Leclerc.
Yeah. And then he owned that land where Gable Woods is today.
Oh.
Yeah. And I bought that from him. Yeah. And, it's so funny. I was at this house, and I bought the land right across the road, and then I worked for Keith Industries for a while, and they had some 7 acres of land on the beach and their home, and they asked me to buy that. So by just staying here,
you will acquire quite a bit.
I bought the land. Anyway, and we started about building the mall. And while I was building the mall, I saw in New York people didn't build with concrete columns, they built with steel. So when the people had designed concrete, I said, no. So I found out a company in Barbados who made the steel, and I called them, and they said, "Well, since you took the time to call us, we would really like to come to Saint Lucia. Would you partner with us?" I said, "Sure." So they came in, and we started a company called Caribbean Metals, of which I was a 1/3 shareholder, and they owned the balance, and they put up the thing, and that company made all the steel and the roofings for the mall.
So that was how Caribbean Metals found itself in St. Lucia.
Yes, that's how.
Wow.
Yeah, and of course we finished the mall, and we have about 40 shops there, and I left the space for a supermarket, And nobody in Saint Lucia wanted to rent from me the supermarket.
Why?
Who knows? But life is funny. I know nothing about running a supermarket. So I found out that in Barbados, there was a man called Mr. Neville Rowe, a local guy who was incredible. I went up and I met him. I was blown away by this guy when I saw what he did in Barbados. So I asked him to come. So he said, okay, when he has a chance, he'll come down. So he came. He said, take me around to see the competition. He said, but there's no competition in Saint Lucia. And tell you something, the guy took over. And that was the undoing of many of my competitors because it wasn't me. It was this guy who knew all, and he designed the most beautiful supermarket.
That was Julian.
Julian's, yeah.
Yes, Julian's, yes.
And, the day we opened, there were over 800 people there.
Wow.
We couldn't cook. Every grocery store was empty that day. I had to call the police for protection for the traffic. And this place became very, very, that's what really made them all. And the guy was excellent, but unfortunately, after 2 years, some people were very jealous of the guy. And one night, his manager and assistant manager were going to the bank with their money, and they hijacked them, and they shot the manager in his neck.
Oh, wow.
And the assistant manager had to get 80 stitches, and they were to hospital, and he was very unhappy about it. But I managed to talk him to stay, and then about maybe 6 or 7 months later, or a year later, his Bajan people who were running the place were staying up at Sunny Acres, and thieves went in there at the house at 3 a.m. and at gunpoint took them out and brought them into the supermarket and made them open the vault.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he said to me, that's it, I'm not staying in Saint Lucia anymore. He closed his place and left. And I begged him, and he said, I'm not interested. He said, if you want, you can buy it, And that's how I got into the supermarket business.
Wow. And that was let me guess, 1991, 92? What year was that?
I would think it before that, because we opened the place in, maybe around 91, 92.
Very good.
Yeah.
And you grew from one supermarket to?
Yeah, he had one supermarket. And I had a cousin who was an accountant working at the Port Authority. And I told him I would like him to come over. I made him a shareholder. And Oswald
Augustine
was a shareholder. I made Oswald, because he did the brokerage for me, because I was busy, so I didn't want to get too involved. So all of them I gave them part of the business. And the Bajans left a good concept for us, which we followed. We followed it, and life went on, and gradually, the team reported to me that they were very happy with what they were doing. So they said, we need to expand. And then my first expansion would have been to go to up north. So I had some land where
Rodney Heights.
Yeah, in Rodney Heights, was available. And then Andre said to me, no, you shouldn't do that, because if you open a supermarket there, you'll be cannibalizing. I didn't agree with him, but since he was the managing director, I went along, and we went to Vieux Fort. I was a little afraid of Vieux Fort, because Vieux Fort has been very difficult. But I went to Vieux Fort, and I built this, I consider, a very big shopping mall down there. Yeah, a little ahead of its time. Yeah, it was a bit of a struggle, but it worked out. And then the same day I finished in Vieux Fort, I told him, I said, look, when I work with people at my partners, I don't quarrel with them. I explain to them. I say, look, I listened to you. I should not have. We should have gone up north. So the same day I finished down there, I managed to get 2 spots up north. And I started right away with another shopping center to be up north.
Who was right? Was Andre right?
I was right.
Sir Michael right?
Sir Michael was right.
Very good.
Because what happened, imagine J.Q. Charles, who was the main opponent in Saint Lucia, they had been in business for 50 years and they had tons of supermarkets all about the place there. And they had started, you know, the JQ Mall over there? They had started 2 years before me. And when I finished U4, I came here, I finished 1 day before them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did you ever consider, given that Sir Joseph Quinton Charles
Yes.
was at the time, and his family, who have a long history of business in Saint Lucia, did you ever consider partnership with them?
No, because the Charleses were very good people. They all went to school with me, the boys. Their father I was very friendly with, but they didn't need anybody. They had 600 acres of land around here. When I came to Saint Lucia, they were the wealthiest people in Saint Lucia. And as a matter of fact, when I asked them to rent from me, they said the Charleses don't rent, they buy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and I have to respect that. So people who will be who they are. But, you know, the thing is that these, when we opened up there at Rodney Heights, because of our reputation as a good supermarket, that place mushroomed from day one. From day one.
So there was fierce competition
Yeah.
because of the Gablewoods.
Yeah.
Then, of course, there's competition in the north. How did that rivalry unfold?
Well, I shouldn't be telling you that on the air, but I say it with no malice. These were my best friends, and that ended the friendship.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Why? But it's business.
Yeah. And someone did ask one of them why. And he said, that's just between myself and Michael. Yeah. but I personally never had. In fact, at the end of the day, when all was gone, I went to hug them and I used to go to their home again.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. After the break, we'll speak a little bit more about Sir Michael's journey into business and some of the friends and mentors that he had along the way. See you after the break.
Coming up after the break, more with our guest.
Yo, Caliph, yeah. Kiba your bad son.
Kiba, how you bad?
Y'all a skinny thought, give me and a tell me fi pokey. She a tell me say fi grab it throat and choke it.
She a send picture and a send me emoji. Give me good brain, a biggie or a trophy.
Cardi dan dada, Louis V shirt and a new bank robber. We a do it first and the whole of them a follow. Girl them a twerk and I say them want hammer.
Girl, them a bubble and a wine and cut.
So me a press gas, me no try bust.
Let's stick up for no day. You know what, man? No, I think I wanna day. No, I'm soft. Let's stick up for no day. Aye, we have a bad bite. We ain't the best take about the best ride. But we go fuck up in a bent paradise. Your pop so tight and your pop paradise. But come and be on bike, send a guy, send a guy.
Si on va content, c'est la même. Rien à foutre, vas-y par la main. So a yo bof, yo ka fait moins la peine. So ka bon moins la flemme, so ka soucier pour ni la fame. C'est nous qui boss. Oui, dis-moi, même police peut pas stop. Pas fait faute, nous qui n'y ça sous contrôle. Et ben nous, ça qu'a grillé, nous toujours bien habillés. L'on dit du car à briller. C'est nous qui boss. Oui, dis-moi, même police peut pas stop. Pas fait faute, nous qui n'y ça sous contrôle. Et ben nous, ça qu'a grillé, nous toujours bien habillés. L'on dit du car à briller.
C'est le temps, nous trois à l'aise. Nous sommes dehors ce soir, tonight we outside.
I have been using water pumps for many, many years, both at my commercial properties, residential properties. And one of the issues I've always had is reliability, high cost of maintenance. One of the major issues is if there's no water in the pump keep running and the pump would shut down or even burn in some cases. I did some research and came across the Pedrello from Bryson Company. I installed one of them on a trial and found it to be very reliable, very efficient. Cost was great as well. And most of all, it was 100% built in Italian. We know the Italian product is one of the best. I stuck with it. If you're looking for a high performance, great quality pump, look no further than the Pedrello pump from Bryson Company. You simply cannot go wrong.
Welcome back. So Michael, you started in St. Acres, beautiful shopping mall, first of its kind in Saint Lucia. You venture down to Viewfort, then you return to the northern extremity, Rodney Bay, Rodney Heights. What next?
Then we went to Cadillac, and we decided to have something called, I think it was, forgot the name of it, but it's like a Costco's.
Okay.
But kind of thing. And we're still feeling our way. And we opened a supermarket down there. And from the day we opened that supermarket, it was successful. The very same day. So they were just waiting for it. Then after that, we realized that what was successful in America, and I said to Andre and myself, and we discussed it as well. I said, we need a Costco's. So by then, we were getting closer to the Charles family because they owned all the land. And we asked them, and they finally sold that whole piece of land to us.
That's a shop.
The
roundabout.
Where Mega J's is.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And we built this Mega J's, which was 60,000 square feet.
It's a massive building.
Massive building. And many people said we were ahead of the game, but we knew that we had a lot of people coming from Martinique to buy because here was cheaper. And and the business became extremely successful. And Mega J's was, really mushroomed into what it is. And then next thing I got called from the Prime Minister of St. Vincent. He said, we need you here to help us.
That was
Ralph
Gonzalez. Okay.
So I said, I don't do these things, but he said, well, at least come. So we went down and we fast track. We eventually took over 3 big supermarkets in St. Vincent. Yeah. And spent a lot of money there and raised the standard. And then there was a guy in Grenada who told us wanted to be with us. So we went to Grenada also. And we partnered with him and we showed him. And we had an interest in Grenada and then 3 big supermarkets in St. Vincent.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We had 2,500 people working for us.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was under the umbrella of Consolidated Foods?
Correct, yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
But that was not the end of your journey. You dominated the food retail sector until, I would say, 2015. You sold to Neil and Massey, the Trinidadian company. What brought about that decision?
Yeah. Again, in life, Steve, you have to be able to share in life. And when Andre, who worked with me, was on the same page with me, we thought the same way. And I gave him a lot of power to do things that he wanted. And there was a company in Barbados called Barbados BS&T, Barbados Shipping and Trading. And they had been known for a while. So they were selling to Saint Lucia. They had wholesale stuff. We said, well, okay, fine. We'll give you some shares in our business. So we had given them some shares in our business. And they worked with us. So all that made us successful. But when they went out of business, or they changed their business, they sold their business to Massey. And Massey came in as a result. They were minority shareholders with us.
Okay.
And when Massey saw how well we were running the business, they wanted to take it over. They wanted
to the million offer you could not refuse.
Yeah. So we didn't want to do it, but by then it was 21 years we were in that business. 21 years in that business. So I met with Andre, who I love as a person, as a business friend, and we sat and negotiated, and he said, well, maybe we should sell, because it was tough for him because he was really the man behind that thing, And we sold, and Massey inherited one of the best businesses ever in St. Lucia.
Well, they seem to be doing very well.
Very well. In fact, I'm told, by comparison, St. Lucia is the #1 producer. Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of supermarkets here. They control 90% of the business.
Well, hopefully there could be competition at some point. They think they're doing quite well.
Competition will come.
And of course, they give a good
rather than later.
They give a good product.
Yeah.
Now you ventured beyond that, new horizons. So shipbuilding,
Yeah.
retail, development, hotels.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Well, my son Alan always had his ideas, and he said, "Look, Dad, you keep doing business here for EC dollars." He said, "You must learn to bring in US dollars to the country." And he said it's important to go into a business where you'll attract US dollars, not recycle the same EC dollars. So I said, "Okay, fine." And then I went up there, and I had there's a small hotel called Coco Creole. Yeah, it was owned by the Saint Lucian family.
Yes, I remember that.
And they had problems, and they wanted to sell. So I bought it, fixed it up, and then we started that. The hotel was just one little hotel.
Candio Inn.
Correct. And then, as life went on, I've asked who owned land around, and I imagine that where Coco Palm is today, 5 different owners had piece of land I bought.
So you bought from everyone.
I bought from everybody. Yeah. It was a hillside.
Yes.
And I brought your good friend Reno.
Oh, Reno.
And Reno.
That was one of his first major projects.
Sorry?
That was one of Reno's first major
Myself and Reno are very, very close. And I have a lot of respect for him. I brought in Reno, and he built that thing in record time.
What, 1 year, I think?
13 months, something like that. And then after that, I had him build a nice building at the back of the mall. My second phase of my mall development, he built that too. Yeah, and I liked Reno because I can work with Reno, and we accomplished this business, Coco Palm, Coco Creole, and together we have about 110 rooms or something between the two hotels, and that was the reason why they went into it, and really that was Alan's child. Yeah.
So hotels, retail, shipping. You of course accumulated quite a body of knowledge and wisdom. What advice would you give to any young business person in Saint Lucia? Things are a little different now, I think, more complicated.
Yeah.
It's not a green field anymore, as they would say. Yeah. What advice would you give to someone who may have entrepreneurial ambitions?
Yeah.
Well, what advice would you give?
I would say, for instance, you have to remain alert. In my case, I was fortunate in that when I started off with the ships, the small ships, I just said to myself, this is what these ships are doing. This is the profit margin. If I made them bigger, the profit margin would increase. And if I made it that much bigger, it would increase more. And encouraged me to go abroad to get the steel ships, which is what I did. So it was quite a progressive business, but I liked it. That's a good question you asked. And not staying in one small business, you have to grow. So my advice to anybody, you can start small,
scale,
but think ahead. And it's a difficult thing to tell people, Steve. I consider myself so lucky in being able to earn $1 and keep 50 cents to invest. I never had this thing of going to buy an expensive car or an expensive home or anything like that.
But you must have had a luxury or two. You must have had 1 or 2 luxuries for your hard work. You've created employment. Yeah. You give people jobs and opportunities. You must have had 1 or 2 luxuries.
If I tell you where my luxuries came from, by traveling. The amount of traveling I did on business, that opened my eyes, and I saw so much, Steve. I didn't need anything more in life.
Very
honestly,
good. Yeah. Thank you so much. When we return, we will go a little broader. National issues, Saint Lucia, your journey. See you after the break.
Coming up after the break, more with our guest.
As a professional plumber installing many different brands of pumps, I'm beyond impressed with the Pedrolo line of products from Bryson Company. with a better performance ratio, energy efficient, less noise and turbulence. The Peugeot line of products is a game changer for all applications. Whether it is self-priming pumps, booster pumps, submersible pumps, deep well or drainage pumps, Bryson Company caters for all your needs. Don't hesitate to get yours now.
To experience the benefits of a tropical solar water heating system, call 453-1868 in Castries or 454-6344 in Beaufort.
Beyond your journey as a businessman, you always seem to be interested in national issues. You have been the chairman of the NDC, what is now Invest Saint Lucia. I think you were also instrumental in bringing some investors into Saint Lucia. You work closely with the deceased Butch Stewart. Tell us, what did you think St. Lucia's potential was back then, and how did you help to advance it?
One of the credits I can take was my role in encouraging, making life a lot easier for Mr. Stewart when he came here, and he invested a lot. He taught me a lot. We benefited, St. Lucia benefited tremendously from sandals. We ourselves went into the catamaran business because of sandals. From one boat, I think today there are 11 catamarans. Some days we move over 800 people a day, and especially when the cruise ships are in. And he came with knowledge I never had before, and I learned a lot from the gentleman. And as a result of that, he would say to me, we got to improve St. Lucia, okay? Now, there are a number of things he was unhappy about in St. Lucia, was people landing in Beaufort and having to take that long ride up. And he got very friendly with Sir John Compton, and Sir John really pushed or had an idea, everybody laughed at him, putting a tunnel under the Bartle Hill. And today, it is no longer a fallacy, it's a reality. It will have to be done at some point in time because it's worth it to shorten that distance. One. The other thing I learned from him, you have to make the guests happy. The road from north to south between here and Bodney Bay is disastrous. So in my view, I think right now I would say St. Lucia is doing well. We have a lot of investment going on. We need a super highway between here, ASAP, with 2 or 3 overpasses, because especially with the 800 rooms that they just put in at Mont Pima, that's going to make a hell of a difference. Yeah. That is as far as that is concerned. The other good thing is that I learned recently that the owners of Mont Pima have bought Marquis Estate, and they put in on agricultural
Hotel.
What you call it?
Development.
No, more than
A hotel. It's a hotel. Estate.
No, they're putting up agricultural industry. Up there. University.
Oh, okay.
University. I went up there myself. I was amazed. They put down 10 structures about 90 feet wide by 150 feet long, 15,000 square feet each, 9 of them. And I think, I'm not sure what is going to happen, but they're going to do the hydroponic formula. And that estate alone can feed the whole of St. Lucia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I think this is good.
So the highway and the connectivity are important to those being successful.
Yes, very important.
And there was some idea, notwithstanding the Badlil tunnel, that you could have a East Coast route.
East Coast, yes.
From Dennery.
That's
straight down. I think in the olden days they called it the Barra Barra.
Yeah, right.
Past.
That's also a good idea.
Yes.
It's either one or the other. Yeah. Has to be done because you have to shorten that. And another thing, Steve, is that even when you have a good roadway between North and the central Castries, if you look at Castries today, too many cars are parked in the day. If there's a fire or something, it's difficult to get around. It may be advisable, for instance, in the Mega J area, if government were to acquire, say, 3 acres of land, have a nice big parking lot. So when the people come from north, they park there and there's a decent shuttle to Castries to take that pressure off the city because it's crazy. When you can't be maneuvering like that all the time. And there was something else I wanted to mention. You had that. Oh, yes. And I've advocated for years that we have no right to have a port in the city with all those containers. So the government has done something very good in that most of the empty containers are now placed at Cul-de-sac. Cul-de-sac, it's expensive to build a new port. So I think temporarily, government can actually finish out and bring all the containers there, not only the empty ones, but the full ones. Do you know where the French ferry comes?
Yes.
Okay. That was called the geese shed. That should be demolished. That should be demolished. That pier should be strengthened. The big crane they have now on the North Wharf should be brought there. When the containers come, we have hundreds of flatbeds. Put it on a flatbed, bring it straight to Cul-de-sac. It's only a 9-minute run. I've done it over and over. And do all that business down there in Cul-de-sac. The French ferry should not be coming to Castries. At the back of the Coast Guard station, there's 5 acres of land and a dock. That should be cleaned out. A nice shed put there. All the people who bring barrels from away, they should take it there and bring the French ferry there so that people can go to and from.
Ganters Bay you're talking about?
Sorry?
Ganters Bay?
No.
No.
You know the Coast Guard station?
Oh, yes, that's around the corner.
Yeah, if you take a drive at the back of the Coast Guard station, there's 5 acres of land. Yeah, it used to be a dockyard before. And there's a booth and everything, okay? And that's where that should go. Take the pressure off Castries. There's too much pressure on Castries. And, that big concrete building, I don't even know what.
Blue Coral?
Eh?
Blue Coral?
No, I'm talking on the dock.
On the dock?
Yeah, it's Shed 6.
Yes.
There's this massive thing that was built a long time ago. You can actually convert it into a nice big vendors market, on the docks, and all that should be cleaned up,
What is your view on VG Airport? Do you think it should be maintained, or you think that Castries could be expanded northward, perhaps have a promenade, restaurants, hotels, places for vendors, artisans, or do you think the best use of that area would be to maintain George F.L. Charles?
I always like to talk to people who know better than me. And I discussed that with Mr. Stewart. He said you should never close it down. He says it's good to have 2 airports. Look at, for instance, when you have a hurricane and the road is blocked and you can't get to your fort, you can have VG. You can fly from one to the other. But it's a cost. It loses a lot of money, VG Airport, especially since Liat is gone. We don't have the trade there. I mean, the right thing to do from a financial aspect would be to close it down. But I think the opinion varies a lot, and I can understand both sides why they want to keep it.
Now, you speak about major capital investments.
Yes.
The importance of unlocking the potential of the country. Where would we get that money from?
Okay. all what I've told you there can pay for themselves over time. Borrowing money is okay, you know. Not when you're going to lose money when you borrow it. You have to make sure you don't lose. So it has to be well done. Yeah. I wasn't quite finished because in the Vieux-Fort area, the new building that the United Workers' Party, which they call the Box, okay, that's a beautiful building. Tell you something, Steve, there's a gentleman from Norway who's come here several times. He's an NGO, non-government organization, and he has a concept where he can bring the most expensive equipment out and they diagnose people immediately. I think that box has 3 wings. The guy comes here. That should be done with that. Also, they have the space now. A medical school should be put in. Don't just leave the building there to idle. That should be done there. The HIA terminal should be completed ASAP, and I'll answer questions. All of these can make money. The international airport, when it was designed originally, there were 75 concessionaires there. And Saint Lucians could make money, and the government could make money off it. And the money to pay for it would come from the head tax, but not even from our tax money, okay? They would pay for that. So, and it's already been worked out. With $25 taken out of the $100 they get, it can pay for itself.
So you prefer the government underwriting the investment rather than a PPP?
Yes, I think so. Because, you know, we can do these things ourselves. And that is the only way you're going to get Saint Lucians to go. When you take Saint Lucians who leave school, educated people, and they become the entrepreneurs, you know. PPPs, you know, I for instance, I just saw something on my phone a while ago where the Prime Minister said that the passport money is lazy money. And that the lazy money is not good because it makes you lazy too when you get at it. People should work for their money. Yeah. Anyway, yes, I believe, and as I say, I speak, if I can do it as an individual, and you have a lot of bright people in Saint Lucia, you take the right people and do these businesses. I believe in letting Saint Lucians run their business.
Now, you speak about lazy money and the passport money. What's your view on the CIP?
Yeah, I'm very disappointed in the CIP situation because, you know, the fact that so many passports went to people like that, and we have lost our visas to England, and it's very tight in America now. That's a major drawback for us. Yeah, I don't think that CIP business was a good business, personally. Yeah, with hindsight, okay, with hindsight. Yeah, it's a short-term business, and it's only going to cause us more and more problems. Yeah. That's what I feel.
Yeah, easy money is not always good money.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
And it's money which is lost quite quickly.
Correct.
Let's hope that there are some policy changes that St. Lucians would better generate value and benefit from the opportunities which could be created. So you've named a number of priorities in Vieux-Fort, the HIA, the hospital, road infrastructure, the ports, supporting.
And the last thing I forgot to mention, we have a beautiful dock in Vieux-Fort, which is closed for the last 15, 20 years. That should be privatized because, and I can even offer some advice the way to go. You go to a place like China, or you can give Taiwan first refusal, you take that or make that a transshipment boat and open it up. You can't tell me it's all this beautiful land there. The docks, money has to be spent because the docks are cracking. Yeah, it has to be fixed. But the infrastructure is there. Yeah, and it opens up the south.
Well, we were a transshipment point in the 80s in Saint Lucia, at least Port Castries was the transshipment port. So perhaps the authorities could consider what the opportunity may be going forward. So I'm hopeful that these things could be realized, but I'm not clear, and maybe you could share your thoughts, whether there is a long-term vision which would allow us to get there. It seems that we are in this reactionary cycle, trying to survive as a country today for tomorrow. Do you believe that we will ever get to the place where we have that type of long-term visionary programming that we saw with Sir John, or you think that era is over?
That's a good question. You know, it was there with Sir John, and I see no reason why it couldn't be continued. I mean, we have... Let me say something too. Right now, that doesn't seem to be on the agenda for the current administration. They seem to have a different approach. You know, we see a lot of attention being paid to jazz, carnival, different things like that. I don't know, that carnival is very good for Saint Lucia. The money stays here. The jazz situation is kind of tight and murky business. And to me, what I mentioned there about development, right now we're very fortunate. The guy who's doing Ayala, I think, I've never met the gentleman, but I think he seems to know what he's doing, because I understand they're going to start 500 homes at the back of the cinema, which was started by Fresh Start. And to me, this is the time, the same way John Compton had the guy from Jamaica, what was his name again? Matalon. Politicians need a good person. And the same way Compton had Matalon, the present government now have Ayala. They need to take a guy like that who thinks, when I say thinks big, he understands how to do those projects. Because when you go and see what the guy has done, it's just amazing, okay? So look at the first thing. I mean, I'm not too involved in that kind of business now, but I'm told that a lot of steel and cement that used to come from all parts of the world is all coming from Turkey, and everybody in Saint Lucia is buying from there now. When a ship comes in, there's 4,000-5,000 tons of steel and cement. And if you have a man like that, this is the right time to take a guy like that and bring him to the first areas, because he understands that kind of business, and that's what I think should be done.
So you think that some of the investment should be done by, of course, from the public purse, using tax
a man
revenue,
like that,
but also you should try to court high-quality investors who can help you to develop the capital infrastructure.
Yeah, because he would have endless connections, and he's here with you, and you know it, and you can see when that man does something. He does it professionally, like Matalon.
So we have been fortunate to have a few very high-quality investors, but they come few and far between.
That's right.
But hopefully we would be fortunate to benefit from continued investments by the group, and hopefully that could...
Yeah, since the days of Matalon, Ireland is the best replacement I've seen so far.
That's very high commendation coming from Sir Michael. We'll take our final break, and then after the break, we'll talk about the future, legacy, and the things that you hope to see now, and maybe the things that you hope Saint Lucia will realize in the not-too-distant future.
The 1461 podcast is brought to you by Bryson Company Limited in partnership with IBS, Harbor Club, Tropical Solar, and 1461 Enterprise, distributors of the world's best coffee. For inquiries, contact us at sales at 1461.lc or 717-9306.
Welcome back. So we're looking at the future now, Sir Mike. You've had almost a storybook, not a fairy tale, because it was quite difficult, but you've had a storybook life. And now you have an opportunity to look back over the last 60 plus years of business, 60 years of life, being a father, a husband, a Saint Lucian. What would you consider to have been your greatest accomplishment?
For me personally,
Yes.
the point that you raised a while ago, when I sat in New York, I distinctly remember that one day, and the CEO of the company on 52 Broadway said to me, now you've been here with us for 3 or 4 years. I need you to come to Germany with me to inspect a ship. I said, hold on. I'm a guy from Castries, Saint Lucia. You are a PhD in law from Germany. And you asking me
to go.
yes, to go. He said, there are people born with certain talents that you cannot take away. And that's what he said to me. So to answer your question, I consider myself that I didn't even know I had it, born with a talent to do these things, because I never expected my life to be where I was. Yeah. So that's what can answer your question.
You also have something which maybe you did not accomplish yourself,
Yes.
but certainly you are responsible for it.
Yes.
Your son,
Yes.
he happens to be the second prime minister who comes from the United Workers' Party.
Yes.
It was a major accomplishment for him and for you as a family.
Yes.
That certainly would form part of your legacy as well.
Yeah.
How did you feel about it to see your son achieve such an important milestone, not for himself or for you, but for the country?
Yeah. Well, Steve, when I saw Alan go into the politics, I put my hand on my head. I said, Lord, have mercy. Anyway, I have to say, Alan has good days and he's had bad days. He had some very good days at the beginning. He was a young guy. He worked very hard. And naturally, being my son, I had to support him the best way I could. And I was extremely proud of him. Can you imagine what you're doing today? I did that. I had 110 shows, TV shows. Yeah. I mean, like yourself, I never did that in my life. And every Sunday night I was out. And I think that helped him to a certain extent. But he worked very hard. And I'm very proud of Alan for what he did. And I think he did a good job. And I distinctly remember the night of the elections when I was in the south of the island at my little place in Savans. And he came in around 5:30, totally exhausted. And he said to me, I'm going to bed. Call me after the elections. But I think I've won.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I couldn't believe around 9, 10 o'clock at night when I was sleeping, I heard some people knocking when I saw these police officers say, well, we have to protect him. He's now the prime. I mean, I'll be honest with you, as a father, I was extremely proud of the guy, yeah. Alan meant well, but, politics is how you sell yourself to people. And I understand he lost. I understand why he lost. But I have to say that he had some very, very good ideas. But COVID came in and knocked him down. For a fact, 2 years of COVID it was wicked. I mean, everything came to a standstill. So it was meant to be. And I told Alan repeatedly, you became prime minister, you lost. I personally would have bowed out then because, things change. Nothing lasts forever in life. But, he had certain ideas and he went ahead with it. But it is what it is. Yeah.
Well, with the ups and the downs and the vagaries of life and politics, the one thing that he should be, and you should certainly be, proud of is that he's achieved something that few others have.
Correct.
And has etched his name in the history books of this country.
Yeah.
Now, going beyond those accomplishments as a businessman, as a father of a former prime minister.
Yes.
Going back to business.
Yes.
Every businessman has a secret or a regret.
Yeah.
Something that he or she could have done differently. What do you think when you think back at your career and you think, I should have done this. If I'd done this, this would have been better. What could you have done that you didn't do, which you wish you had done?
Don't knock me when I respond to you. Nothing.
Nothing. Wow. You're like red over that he's done everything.
Yeah.
There's nothing that you would have changed. You would change.
Because, in fact, I tell people if I came back in, I'd like to have the same life again. Yeah. Because I was very fortunate, I mean, my God, people have been so good to me, Steve, where I went, I mean, I learned one thing in life, I don't fight people. I make friends. I don't cause enemies.
You build bridges.
I build bridges. I'm not breaking down any bridges at all. I respect people. Sometimes people disagree with me, and I go along with that, I'm not fighting anybody because it's easier that way, And I think that's certainly an asset that I was blessed with, and I wouldn't trade it for anything else.
So no regrets.
Yeah.
And your advice is build bridges.
Yes.
Build bridges.
Correct.
Extend your hand.
That's right.
To others.
Help people as much as you can. Yeah, I try as much as possible to help as many people as possible. Yeah, because you people you help and are successful, you make better people.
Yes, yeah. Indeed. And finally, maybe you've answered the question already, but I'll ask again, maybe in a different way.
Yeah.
90 years, you will be 91 on the 1st of December, 2026.
Yeah.
Fantastic life. You're in incredible shape. Very strong.
Yeah.
So I wish you another decade or two.
Oh, God.
But if you had an opportunity to do it all over again.
Yes.
Starting from scratch.
Yes. Starting from scratch. Yes.
What would you change?
I really don't know, Steve. Many people who know me well, they keep telling me, Shas, you've worked so hard. Go on trips and so. I said, but I had that already.
You've done it. I've been there, done that.
I mean, something? My God, I went all over the world, Steve. Places I never thought of going. I went into Brazil. I went into the heart of Brazil. I went to Africa, I went every part of America, New Orleans, everywhere, Canada, shipping, and meeting people on a one-to-one basis, To me, that was my life. That was the holiday. I didn't need a holiday. Yeah. Honestly, my life, if I could have the same life over again, I would say thank you.
You do it again.
Yes.
And before we close, I always look at legacy. Money comes, money goes.
That's right.
Health comes. Sometimes we don't have it. When your days are done, what would you want your legacy to be?
Okay. I wish, for instance, this is why I've sold a couple of my properties already. And there are one or two like Gablewoods. I wish my family were up north, or to hold on to it and maintain it, keep it to a very high standard, as something that they can remember about me. What else? I have several of my staff. I've helped them with their school fees. I would like them to continue that. And basically, that's about it. Yeah.
Well, Sir Michael, I think I speak not only on my behalf, but on behalf of many Saint Lucians. We thank you
Yes.
for your service to this country. We thank you for dreaming a little bit,
Yes.
pushing the ball forward,
Right.
working hard, sacrificing, showing St. Lucians what it means to be a businessman, not only committed to the business, but to his staff. I think your business was one of the first which issued shares to ordinary employees.
Yes.
You've done a lot for St. Lucia as a businessman, as a member of the, as an advisor to prime ministers
Yes.
on both sides, as a chairman of the National Development Corporation in West St. Lucia, and in many other spheres. So we do owe you a debt of gratitude for the support, the sacrifices that you made for this country. And I wish you continued good health
Yep.
and many, many more years of good advice
Yes.
and guidance to the current generation
Yeah.
and those who will come next.
You know, one last thing I forgot to mention to you was when I first went into the shipping business, in total, I took 18 guys. I went to the different schools who had a vocation and brought them at different occasions to Europe to make their first trip. They became engineers, they became captains, they became cooks, and became deckhandmen.
And like that, you change the lives of people,
Yeah.
their families,
That's right.
and the future.
Yeah, which was good. Yeah.
It's been good having you again for another episode of the 1461 podcast. See you again soon.
Thank you so much. Much appreciated.
This has been the 1461 podcast. Thanks for watching. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Spotify. The Airborne Academy, audio partners of the 1461 podcast. Flower arrangement by the Dreamy Group.